What's up, guys? It is Sam, and today I wanted to talk about the California primary. So we've got preliminary results for the primaries in California, and I wanted to go over that tonight and break it into a few different areas. But first, we're going to talk about what it is we're talking about ranking in these primaries, how and why we created these California primaries, and then just dive into the results. So if you want to watch that this morning, then stay tuned. And if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam. And if those of you who are returning, make sure you smash that like button. This is your second time here, bro. Smash that like button. Okay, now let's get on with this. Now, what are we ranking? Well, there was 10 candidates in the last debate. So we took all 10 of these candidates and we stack ranked them against each other based on a few different factors. So now, why? Why did we create the California primaries? Well, primarily to understand what is going on. When we hear things from the media, by the way, check out this awesome suit. Heck yeah. A blue pastel suit like that. When the media reports polling data, I don't believe necessarily any bad intentions behind it, but I think that there's just so many biases in the collection of this data, and the sample size is too small. I know we're taught in statistics that a lot of the times you can get something that is relatively statistically significant at around an N of 30. An N would just be like a sample size. So, but these polls may have several hundred to maybe a couple thousand people, and we're trying to really understand the essence of what it is that California wants, but do it in the most objective way possible, where we can get as close to like the heartbeat of California and what California is looking for with this. But why also California? And that is because California represents over 10% of the entire U.S. population in one freaking state. So I think that there's a large portion of people in the U.S. that are have some type of interest what is probably going on. So using that as a gauge will be kind of interesting to understand what's going on out there. But now, how do we do this? Well, first of all, I'll tell you the tools we used, and then dive into like actually getting the understanding of how we all laid it out before getting into the results. Well, the tools that we used tonight were Google and YouTube search volume. And what does that mean exactly? Well, first of all, what does that mean? Well, why do we use Google and YouTube? Well, what I have right here is Alexa rankings. Right here, Alexa is one of the sites that I use for my rankings or to gather some data for some of the analysis that I do. There's also a website called SimilarWeb where they also do rankings. Just from my POV, they tend to rank U.S. sites better than other sites, so I feel like there's a bias towards U.S. sites, especially in comparison to Alexa. But either way, Google is ranked #1 on the entire planet. It's hard for most people to fathom the size of what that means. Think about, it's really hard to fathom the size of how quickly that happens. Like, there's like somewhere near 4 million searches per minute happening at Google. 4 million searches. My phone just went off because I said Google. Happening at Google per minute. So that's just astonishing. Somewhere near like 5.5 to 6 billion per day. That's astonishing. So they're #1. Google is #2. And why is this relevant? Do you think like we live in the real world? Because when there's that amount of data, that amount of energy, that amount of awareness in one spot, we get a better glimpse like that end size, right, the sample size for the poll that we're going to be looking at is much greater. We're going to look at the search volume for each of these, because that's where the most attention is, where these people are actually looking. The ones in California are searching, right? So here we have how we did this. We took each one of these candidates, as you can see here up at the top, Joe Biden, Andrew Yang, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and we went and searched them. But we did it for all 10 candidates. And right over here we have, you can put whatever state you want. So we have California over the past 12 months, and we see who is number one, right? In this example here we have Andrew Yang is number one, followed by Bernie Sanders. But then we also did, this is on YouTube, but we also did it for the web. And we stacked ranked all 10 of them like this, right? On this one, we have a different result. After we stacked ranked all 10 of them YouTube search volume, all 10 of them Google search volume, then what we did is we take an average between the two of them. But within each one, we ranked them at the 12-month, the 3-month, and the 1-month. And within each of those search volumes, we did an average of the 12, 3, and 1 month, where we gave a 25% weighting to the 12-month, a 25% rating to the 3-month, and a 50% weighting to the 3-month or the 1 month. And we did that with the logic that the most recent 30 days represent the most valuable information. The information from 12 months ago is not as valuable as the information that's most recent over the past 30 days. And that is why we ranked to that. So, with that being said, let's get into the ranking. So, check out Mutant Ninja Turtle in the corner over there. Thumbs up for that guy. So, let's get into the top 5 here. We have Andrew Yang as number 1. Number 2 is Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is killing it. And this is why I have it pointing at Joe Biden. This is why you don't film these videos at 1 o'clock in the morning. This is incorrect. Bernie, as you can see right here, I apologize. Bernie Sanders is number 2. Bernie Sanders has been killing it. So a lot of these rankings that I do, Bernie Sanders has been killing it. What is kind of interesting is Kamala Harris is doing pretty well overall between these two. In California, she's ranked number 3. Joe Biden is ranked number 4. So I do apologize for that, but the top 5 are Andrew Yang, Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and Elizabeth Warren. And that rounds out the top 5 there. So I'd love to know what your thoughts were on this, except for this last thing here, but overall in the process and what your thoughts are, because when we do the primaries, that's captured the least amount of data, right? I feel like we could even do primaries using search volume, among other factors, to try to find a better representation than even primaries, right? Or definitely than polling data. I'd love to know your thoughts down below. Also, I was going to go over a couple, read through a couple YouTube comments and answer them live. So if you want to see one of your comments answered live at the end of one of these videos, then make sure to leave a comment below and put hashtag Stolt at the beginning of it so that it pops out. So what we've got here is, did I say Joe Biden twice? It is definitely possible that I did say it twice. Greg Branson. I'm not 100% sure. As you saw by that last slide, I do kind of make mistakes relatively often. Let's come down here to Literally Math by Habuya. And then let's go over here. Well, this one has a lot of comments on it. This is from Rickerman. And Joe Biden for President of the United States of America. Joe Biden is leading in the polls. So this is kind of interesting that this one had a ton of data on it, a ton of comments on it. Let's go through some of these comments to get an understanding, because I've had a couple people ask me about the sentiment. around this data, which would be very interesting because I think there's not a positive sentiment around Joe Biden. Anyways, Keith Chin reads, Rickerman, he's talking to this dude up here. Yes, sure. The same Biden that gave a nod and wink to allow Big Pharma to flood the market with opioids. Maybe 8 years of VP Biden is enough to cause 80,000 death in 2017. Sure, Biden, take the big business's money and not talk about the suffering of Americans. The public won't know. So then I have a feeling this is how the rest of these comments are going to go here. Biden will drop out. He's establishment conservative. Joe, Bernie, Pete, Kamala, Warren are too old and they're corrupted. Just like whatever this means. Oh, Trump. Yeah, so it doesn't seem like it was super positive for this person who left a comment about Biden, which is kind of interesting. And anyways, if you want to see more of your comments read live below, use hashtag STOLE at the beginning of the comment. Jump over to Instagram and say what's good. I post a lot over there as well. Less about politics and more about fitness. So if you want to watch that, come over there and say what's up. Peace.